The movie begins with Zaraya in a futuristic city filled with ruins, working quickly to extract firmware from a disabled robot. She frequently glances at the progress bar on the screen, which is slowly moving toward completion. The noise of marching soldiers grows louder, signaling their approach. Zaraya hears them and quickly hides behind a stack of crates. The soldiers, along with a robot, arrive at her location and begin searching. Zaraya watches nervously, hoping they don't find her before the installation finishes. Just as the soldiers are about to discover her hiding spot, the installation completes with a beep. Zaraya swiftly grabs the drive from the device and starts running. The soldiers spot her and begin chasing, with the robot leading the way. Zaraya darts through a series of narrow alleys, desperately trying to escape. She finds a small opening between two walls and squeezes through, hoping to lose her pursuers. She stops briefly to catch her breath and sees the robot struggling to get through the narrow gap. Zaraya taunts the robot, but it simply detaches its backpack and slips through the opening with ease. Shocked, Zaraya resumes her escape. She races through the streets, searching for a way out. Finally, she reaches a tall fence and climbs over it. The robot hesitates before following, then decides to follow but cannot get over the fence. It fell back. On the other side, Zaraya takes a moment to catch her breath, feeling a temporary sense of relief. Zaraya started walking slowly, placing the drive into her bag. As she passed by a house, an old man saw her and called out, questioning her return and warning her about Noah's capture and the worsening situation at Alcazar. He emphasized the danger, mentioning how the situation was deteriorating rapidly and how more people were being taken each day. Zaraya acknowledged his concerns, explaining she was just cutting through to reach her droid and confirming she had obtained it. She detailed her plan to get to the other side of the wall in a few days and promised to return to save everyone once the world knew what was happening. The old man, visibly worried yet hopeful, praised her bravery and noted how proud her father would be of her actions. He advised her to sneak out behind the fence by Unit 25 at Petrov's place on the corner. With a stern look, he warned her about the Tin Men, urging her to be cautious. Zaraya nodded, absorbing the old man's advice, and ran toward the location he pointed out. The scene shifts to an oppressive atmosphere. Loudspeakers echo stern reminders about procreation being a civil violation, and unlawful reproduction being a neglect of communal prosperity. The repetitive announcements create a sense of inescapable control over the population. Overwatch radio communication indicates a commander-requested wellness check scheduled for 1600, urging everyone to prepare their protocols. The atmosphere is tense, with the distant sound of children crying adding to the distress. The loudspeakers continue, urging compliance and requesting everyone to remain in their homes, the monotone voice making the commands feel even more impersonal and harsh. Soldiers march down the streets, their heavy boots pounding against the pavement. They forcefully kick down a door, splintering it into pieces, and a droid announces the wellness check, instructing the residents to open the door. The soldiers, maintaining a commanding presence, enter the house and start dragging a civilian out. The civilian pleads for mercy, his voice trembling with fear. The soldiers mockingly discuss his fate, mentioning that he is being taken to Alcazar due to the commander's desperation and belief that more subjects might help control the situation. They speculate about the activities at Alcazar, suspecting nuclear experiments or other inhumane tests, while admitting they are kept in the dark about the specifics. Suddenly, the civilian tries to escape. The soldiers react quickly, one of them shouting a command, as another pulls out a taser. The civilian's attempt to flee is cut short by the sharp crackle of electricity, his body convulsing before he collapses to the ground. The soldiers, unfazed by the incident, lift the limp body and continue with their procedure, their expressions cold and unfeeling. Zaraya witnessed the brutal scene from her hiding spot. The soldiers' casual conversation about the incident revealed their desensitization to the violence and their disinterest in the welfare of the people they were supposed to protect. As Zaraya ran, she encountered a droid instructing her to keep moving. A soldier reminded her that the checkpoint was just ahead, and there was no need to rush since there were still a few hours before curfew. She forced herself to remain calm and composed, knowing that any sign of panic could draw unwanted attention. Upon reaching the checkpoint, Zaraya presented her identification, hoping her facade would hold. Her ID read Zariah Shahab, Unit 77. When asked about her status, she responded that she was classified as second-level exposure, 21 years. She explained her purpose for leaving the zone as trapping and provisions, carrying only a few snakes and some water, and promised to return before curfew. The soldier scanned her ID and, finding nothing amiss, allowed her to pass. Zariah felt a momentary relief, but knew she couldn't let her guard down. However, as she began walking, another droid confronted her, detecting deception. It ordered her to step aside, despite her protests that she had just been cleared. The droid's mechanical voice was cold and unyielding, and it began a countdown, giving her only 3 seconds to comply. Zariah's heart raced as she tried to think of a way out of the situation. Zariah entered a room and was immediately ordered by a droid to surrender the containment unit. Complying, she handed over her belongings, and the soldiers began searching through them. One soldier, laughing, commented on the heavy firepower she had, sarcastically noting that it was overkill for hunting rabbits, and mockingly asked who she had stolen it from. They suggested taking her to Alcazar to teach her a lesson about the consequences of her actions. In a sudden move, Zariah picked up a grenade and her driver, causing the soldiers to shout and the droid to detect a hostile. She warned them that she had nothing to lose and would take them all down with her if necessary. The tension in the room escalated as a soldier received a radio call from another, asking about the situation. The soldier responded that there was a problem and tried to de-escalate the situation, while another soldier from outside suggested shooting her. The soldier inside hesitated, aware of the potential collateral damage if they fired. Zariah, holding the grenade firmly, demanded to be let go, promising to put the pin back in if they complied. The soldiers, caught in a tense standoff, urged her not to do anything rash. The atmosphere was thick with tension, every movement deliberate and cautious. Seeing no other way out, Zariah made a decisive move. She pulled the pin from the grenade and threw it towards the soldiers. The resulting explosion threw the room into chaos. Amidst the confusion and debris, the soldiers opened fire, but Zariah managed to dodge their char, which turned tits and escape. Her determination to get away fueled her adrenaline as she sprinted through the turmoil. After a harrowing escape, Zariah finally reached her house. Without wasting a moment, she plugged the drive into her computer and began the installation process. She picked up a baseball bat standing ready before a dormant droid about to activate. As the droid came to life and walked toward her, she instinctively stepped back, startled by its sudden movement. The droid greeted her, noting that it had been 4,563.2 days since its last activation, and remarking on her significant physical changes. It estimated she had 56 days until her demise, causing Zariah to laugh bitterly, calling it a charmer. She urgently explained that she needed the droid to fulfill its original purpose, to fight their way out. Handing it a gene-locked weapon, she observed the urgency of the situation, as more troops had already been deployed. But when the droid did not arm the gun, her frustration grew, and she demanded it to do so. The droid calmly informed her that it was programmed for companionship, not violence, due to a non-aggression axiom installed by her father. Exasperated, Zariah couldn't believe the situation. The droid detected her anger, and in an attempt to comfort her, it then suggested that a non-violent escape might still be possible. The droid proposed that one of the older border outposts might still be on an analog system with manual gate controls requiring physical passcodes. Zariah considered the possibility and asked if it would work. The droid admitted its outdated security data, but suggested trying the passcodes stored in its memory. Zariah and the droid embarked on their journey, with Zariah trying to lighten the mood by joking around. From a distance, they spotted a tunnel, and the droid identified it as Outpost 1. As they walked into the tunnel, Zariah marveled at the remnants from just after the incident, expressing disbelief at how they had been kept in the zone for so long. She noted the decay and neglect, a stark reminder of the world they were trying to escape. While examining items scattered on the floor, Zariah accidentally triggered an alarm. A red flare shot into the sky, and the PA system announced a wall breach and an anomaly detected in Sector 12. The sudden noise and lights heightened the urgency of their situation, knowing that the authorities would soon be upon them. Panicking, Zaraya realized that the gate was nearby and urged the droid to act quickly. The droid attempted to unlock the gate, but struggled as soldiers approached, checking their weapons and preparing to fire. Amidst the chaos, the droid managed to manually lift the door, urging Zaraya to go through first. She passed through and held the door for the droid, but as it was passing, it was shot from behind and collapsed. The droid, now on the ground, insisted that Zaraya run, emphasizing that it had fulfilled its primary mandate. Despite her protests and tears, the droid stressed that there was still hope for her and commanded her to run and not look back. Heartbroken, Zaraya let go of the door and sprinted away as the soldiers closed in on the fallen droid. Zaraya continued running until she reached a house, her mind racing with thoughts of the fallen droid and the danger still pursuing her. Several days later, the scene shifts to an office where a woman is speaking on the phone. She discusses a piece of droid software that was recently brought in, explaining that it revealed people have been trapped in the zone since the incident. She instructs her team to mobilize, indicating that it's time to take action. After hanging up, she turns her attention to Zaraya, who stands in front of her, and asks if she is going to help them. Zaraya, contemplating the recent events and the droid's sacrifice, agrees to help, acknowledging that this mission aligns with her purpose. The scene ends with Zaraya determined and ready to face the challenges ahead, bringing the movie to a close.